They risk their lives for our country, fighting in a desert where temperatures soar to 130 degrees. So why do some U.S. soldiers in Iraq claim they were often dying of thirst, desperate for drinkable water months at a time? That's what the 11 News defenders have uncovered after weeks of research and interviews. And investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski joins us now with more. Jeremy?
Greg, we spend billions on bullets and bombs in Iraq, and while some troops there say they had no problems getting water or even Gatorade, others say the military went AWOL when it came to providing them the most basic necessity of life.
Start with heat. Houston's heat on a miserable summer day. Now add 40 degrees, making temperatures 130 or more.
It's so hot, sometimes it's hard to breathe.
Next, add an extra 100 pounds of gear to your body.
It's just hard to even get air.
But then imagine there isn't enough of this.
You'll see guys throw up. You'll see them pass out.
Welcome to Iraq. We've heard the horror stories of short supplies, like not enough body armor or unshielded Humvees. But the 11 News defenders have discovered some soldiers stationed all over the country during all phases of this desert war say something else was often missing.
We ration 2 bottles of water a day.
Enough drinking water. And some of them, like Dustin Roby, say they're now paying the price. The staff sergeant says it started in 2003, with soldiers given only a half gallon to survive on a day. All while dodging bullets in the blistering heat.
We were on missions, I ran out of water.
No surprise, this Army bulletin states that in desert conditions, water losses can reach 15 liters per day per soldier, or 4 gallons a day. Even this older Army manual says just to survive, in hot deserts you need a minimum of 1 gallon per day. So Roby says his company was forced to improvise.
We were inside a house, I'd stick my head under the faucet and drink.
From an Iraqi tap.
Right.
But Iraqi water is often untreated, and so
we had a real rash of dysentery go through my company. I'd say 50, 60 guys probably got it.
Eventually, Roby says, they became desperate.
It really hit me the day I was with my commander and we're stealing water.
That's right, stealing. Roby says they would quietly raid the Baghdad airport where they found plenty of water in the hands of civilian contractors.
You had just pallets upon pallets upon pallets of water that
weren't getting to the soldiers.
Right.
But water shortages continue, and in other parts of Iraq. Fast forward 4 years later to 2007, and
my sergeant told my lieutenant that we didn't have enough water, and he said go find some.
He's Private First Class Brian Hanna.
I mean, what does go find some mean?
It means if you don't want to die, then go find some water.
And so Hanna and fellow soldiers did just that, finding it once again at a civilian contractor facility.
And we just run out and just start grabbing like cases of water, and we throw them up in the gunner's hatch.
This sounds like it's something that definitely needs to be looked into.
Dr. Stephen Fadum is an internist and kidney specialist who teaches at the Veterans Administration.
If soldiers are saying that they're not getting adequate water, that has to be taken seriously.
Why? In the short term,
you can faint, you can collapse.
Not good during a firefight. And in the long term,
they may end up with kidney injury.
The Army even says so. According to this briefing document, chronic dehydration is associated with kidney stones, urinary infection, rectal afflictions, and skin problems.
This can be very, very challenging.
More on that later.
People need to see this.
Because 11 News has identified yet another problem with water in Iraq.
I mean, it's yellow, and it's filthy.
Dirty water in sinks and showers soldiers use. Sergeant Casey Porter took this footage last summer from a base called Camp Taji, which by this time in the war looked less war zone and more like a mall.
You can eat Subway, Burger King, you can buy a $1,200 Oakley watch, but you can't have clean water to brush your teeth with. You know, what's the real priority here?
As it turns out, at many such bases, the water was supposed to be processed by Houston-based company KBR. And this internal KBR report cites massive issues with water for personal hygiene dating back to 2005. Issues like no formalized training for anyone involved with water operations, and at one camp, Ramadi, no disinfection for shower water whatsoever.
That water was 2 to 3 times as contaminated as the raw water out of the Euphrates River.
Former KBR employee Ben Carter was the one to blow the whistle on it all, Carter first noticed a problem when he found a live maggot in a base toilet and discovered that instead of using chlorinated water, the soldiers' sinks and showers were pouring out untreated wastewater.
You're standing in essentially a sauna of microorganisms. Your eyes, your ears, any place that there's a cut, a person would be at risk of contracting a pathogen.
But when Carter says he wanted to inform U.S. forces, he says KBR supervisors told him
the military is none of your effing concern, which was shocking to me.
So what do those in charge have to say? KBR told us a Department of Defense Inspector General report concluded KBR has since satisfied applicable water standards, adding that the Department of Defense has not found any illness which it attributes to water in Iraq. And as for providing drinking water to the troops, the multinational force in Iraq told us we have a proven system that works. Commanders at all levels do their utmost to provide the necessary resources required to sustain the force.
I take 26 different types of pills a day.
But tell that to Staff Sergeant Roby.
I've had kidney stones almost on a daily basis.
Passing hundreds of them since returning from Iraq.
It feels like somebody stabbed me in the side, just over and over and over again.
He blames the lack of and quality of water for his poor health. And the hardest part of it all?
There's days that I can't go out and play with my children outside. I'm in that much pain.
As for Roby's military career, it's over. The Army forced him to retire because of his condition and slashed his pay. So much so, the family is staring at foreclosure and has since moved in with relatives. The former staff sergeant's only hope now that the next time our country does it the right way. And Afghanistan is just around the corner.
If we can't provide enough water, enough materials for guys to get through the day to where they don't have long-term effects like myself, then why even fight the war?
Kidney stones have become such a widespread problem for soldiers that the military has set up a specialized medical treatment center in Iraq to deal with them. Now, the military does have water treatment trucks, also known as water buffaloes, that purify local water in bulk for soldiers in the field, but many troops told us there that there was a shortage of those too. Finally, as we said, other soldiers told us that there was plenty of drinkable water around. And we asked why the difference? Well, we found it often had to do with exactly when and where they were deployed in country. Lucy and Greg?
And Jeremy, the military in your report is saying everything's okay. So what's the next step here?
Well, already some Texas lawmakers are taking action on this. We spoke with several Texas lawmakers. One has already pledged to draft a letter to Defense Secretary Robert Gates demanding answers. So we'll have more reaction and the action taken by the Texas congressional delegation. That's coming up Thursday night.